Welcome back to the Auto Obsessive Garage. Chadwick with you again for another installment of the Project Turbo Boosty Miata series. And we're hitting the home stretch, guys. All we have left to do is some basic, kind of small maintenance items. Important ones, but we'll get those knocked out today. We're going to clean up that undercarriage bracing that we removed to do the transmission fluid. We're going to clean that up, reinstall that. We're also going to go ahead and do the fuel filter. Had a peek at that, looked like it was the OEM one. Definitely due for a replacement there. Do that, we're gonna go ahead and knock out the brakes. We're gonna do pads, rotors, and a fluid flush. Get those all set up and ready to go. And then we're also gonna go ahead and do these wheels. These Racing Hart wheels that come with the Mazdaspeed Miata are in kind of rough shape. They've been curbed up, dinged up over the years. So we're gonna get in there. We'll do our whole wheel overhaul where we go ahead and sand them down, fill them, sand them again, prime, paint, and clear. So follow along as we get into this and get this car one step closer to being finished. Here's that silver undercarriage pan that we had to take off to get to the transmission. If you remember, it's completely coated in oil. We are scrubbing it thoroughly. I don't know if I'm going to make it shine or anything, but I want to get it a lot cleaner. You know, we're not going to do all this work to a car and then put it back together and have it still look nasty underneath it. Finished product. Look at that shine. Ooh, shiny. So much better than before, guys. It's gonna look so nice. Anytime you crawl under the vehicle, look up and see this nice shiny piece of aluminum versus the coated mess it was before. Another job well done. Since we're done with the transmission and diff fluid, it's time to go ahead and replace those splash shields we went ahead and cleaned up. What a world of difference from the oil-soaked stuff we pulled out from under that car. Like I said, this is a nice little bonus I like to do. Doesn't hurt to get down there and clean this stuff. Installation is the opposite as we pull them off, obviously. So we're gonna do that front metal one, shiny aluminum metal one first, and then we'll put this black one over it and we'll be good to go. The difference you get when you do all the details like I do on these jobs. Look at the undercarriage of this car now. Look how shiny everything is. That silver up there is gorgeous, and look at this glossy black. And that is how we do it here in the Auto Obsessive Garage. Time to take off this fuel filter. Now, a couple tools you're going to need. Obviously, a 10mm socket. Take this little holding bolt off. You're also going to need one of these line removal tools. Now, I've heard you can pinch these kind of connectors and they can come off sometimes, but I'm not going to take that risk. We're going to try to move quickly here. Probably going to swallow a bunch of gasoline. That's fun. But let's pop these connectors off. First thing, you obviously want to take this off, pull that old filter off. So here we go. Let's see how much gasoline we can dump on ourselves. Not a horrible idea to bend this bracket out of the way so you can load the new filter in there nice and quick. All right, now it gets messy. Here comes our fuel. Tastes lovely. Woo! Gasoline going down my arm, nice and refreshing. Should have done this with an empty tank. I'm sorry I didn't get this on video, but I took a serious gasoline bath down here. So yeah, here's the new filter in place. I haven't tightened the bracket yet. I'm gonna give you guys some advice. So there are two connectors. There's one right here on the filter. That's the higher one. And then there's a lower one on the back. My advice to you is take off the lower one first. That way when you're working on the upper one to take that off, you're not soaking yourself in too much more gasoline than you need to. You're gonna get covered with gasoline anyway. Another top tip would be go ahead and drain your fuel tank or run it down as low as you can before you do this job. I had about a half a tank. I probably lost about a gallon or 2 gallons of gasoline. We got the new fuel filter all clamped in, ready to go. Go ahead and put that plastic shield back over it with all those fun plastic pop rivets, and you are done with your fuel filter job. Oh my god, this was a 10 out of 10 on the annoying get soaked in gasoline scale of fun. Pop on that plastic cover with all those fun clips. You can peek our new fuel filter right under there, and it looks great under here. Look at that. Like we were never even here. Congratulations on a job well done, guys. This is an important one to do and a painful one to do. Moving on to the next job at hand. Let's take those wheels off of there, convince them to come loose with some air tools here, and swap these brakes out. 21mm. Let's get this caliper off of here. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with some penetrating oil. You have two 14mm bolts back here. You wanna get those nice and soaked, especially if brakes haven't been done in a very long time. And get him supported. Excellent. Time to take this rotor off. Now sometimes these pop right off, but most times they don't. Again, PB Blaster is your friend. Now you have a couple options. There's a screw hole, kind of like a little pilot hole here, where you can put a certain diameter screw. Find a screw that fits, you can push that and it kind of presses against the hub and pushes the disc off that way. Sometimes that works too. That wasn't too bad. We'll get this old chewed up rotor out of here. Time to put the new brake hardware on. We've got some new pads here. Hawk HPS's, I'm a big fan of. And then I'm gonna throw some Centric blanks on here. And Centric's great. They're the company that makes stock brakes. They're really good quality. As you can see here. Difference between Miata front and rear brakes, they're almost the same diameter, which is kind of cool, front and rear, but the fronts are ventilated. So the rears will just have that single non-ventilated rotor. So you want to line up your hole here with either one of these pilot holes. Man, we're already looking so good. Time to pop these pads out. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and slide these new pads into the old calipers here. Or you can bet I'm gonna clean these up even further. I'm gonna go ahead and paint this caliper after too, and that'll really make this thing clean up nicely. Right, we got everything back together here. We're gonna come and paint this later, but first we're gonna go ahead and bleed the brakes. So let's go ahead and put the rotors and new pads on all four corners, then do the bleeding, and then we'll paint to finish the job up, and we'll have a beautiful looking brake set all around the car, as well as one that functions great. Now it's time to go ahead and bleed this system. You guys know I'm a huge fan of the Motive Power Bleeder. Geez, it just makes this solo work so much easier and saves me so much time. That being said too, I usually use the universal cap that goes on top of the brake fluid reservoir. And it takes a little more time. I did buy this red Miata one, specific for the Miata, which saves a ton of time. So you just basically put it on, screw it down all the way, connect this section to your Motive Power Bleeder, and I am ready to bleed the brake system that quick. Freaking awesome, love it. Fluid doesn't look too bad in there, but why do all the brakes and not do the fluid? So let's go ahead and clear this fluid out, put some nice new stuff in, and have a great braking system. All right, we have the power bleeder all hooked up. Nothing fancy here, just the Prestone .4 synthetic brake fluid. We're gonna go ahead and top this off. Now next you want to generate pressure in the system. I usually aim for around 15 PSI. That's a good amount to flush out brake fluid. So there we go, 15 PSI. Now all we have to do is go around the car and break loose all those wonderful bleeder valves. All right, let's start with the brake caliper furthest from the master cylinder. So we're on the passenger rear here. Go ahead and secure your bottle that you're gonna drain into. Fill it up a little bit at the bottom with some fluid to trap those air bubbles. You're gonna need an 8mm line wrench for this operation. So first things first, let's bust off this little rubber cap. Simple. Go ahead and fit your wrench on there. And now you wanna very tightly secure the hose from your bottle to the bleeder valve. And now that the system's pressurized, we're gonna crack that loose and the fluid should start flowing. And here it comes. And you can see it slowly making its way down. So I'm not really surprised. There shouldn't be any air bubbles in it. We didn't do anything to break open the system. I'm just kind of draining some older fluid out, flushing the clean fluid through. Now you periodically want to go back to make sure that you do have fluid in your power bleeder and in your brake reservoir. If any of those run out, you can introduce air into the system again, especially under pressure. So keep an eye on that stuff. The brake fluid doesn't look too bad. It looks like someone might have done it not too long ago. But that being said, if you're going to the trouble putting in new pads and rotors, just go ahead and bleed the system. Repeat that procedure for all 4 wheels and you'll be good to go. Even though the brake fluid in the reservoir looked pretty clean, as you can see, it's still pretty dark after flushing all the brakes, so always nice to do this. Time for our favorite part of the show where I go in there and paint the calipers. Alright, that was some good work to put behind us, guys. The Miata is totally finished, ready to go. Wheels are looking good, brakes are working great. All the fluids have been changed. We did the timing belt, water pump, replaced every seal that could possibly leak on the car. So front crank seal, we did the 2 cam seals, obviously water pump, thermostat. We did so much stuff. We also did that rear cam angle sensor cap where the cam angle sensor goes and that cap is installed. We went ahead and did that because that was leaking. So anything that was leaking on the car or could possibly leak at all has been replaced. So we should be in a great spot. We did it all, guys. So this car is ready to be enjoyed, ready to be driven. The final step, which I'll probably document, is unfortunately going to be outsourced. We're going to have a professional paint shop paint the car, and then we'll have a car that's as good looking as it is maintained. So that'll be it. This is probably the last episode where we'll be actually wrenching on the car. Fingers crossed. It's been awesome. It's been an awesome project. I can't complain. This has been a very fun car to work on. I'm pretty familiar with working on Miatas, having worked on a few in the past, and this Mazdaspeed version is a little different, so it's kind of cool to get that experience. Very happy with how the car performs. Haven't taken it out for a couple little, just quick test drives. Wow, what a machine. Can't complain. So expect an update when we get it painted, and then expect another update when I actually do the review of the car, which would be great to see what the numbers look like and get a good feel for, does adding a turbo to a Miata take away the Miata-ness of the car or actually increase how cool it is and the performance factor. So anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's get this thing painted. Hopefully I'll have an update about that relatively soon. And we've got lots of other projects coming up in the Auto Obsessive Garage, so please stay tuned. Again, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye.